George Foster Rhymes in Valdosta, Georgia. I have highlighted the fact that here in Valdosta, Lowndes County, Georgia, the news media have totally ignored my situation wherein on May 25th, I was denied the right to enter into the building wherein the Lowndes County Board of Education meeting was taking place, as well as denied my right to attend the 2013 Lowndes County High School graduation. I went to our local news media outlets to tell my story about denying me of my constitutional right and freedom of movement here in the state of Georgia. Yet, those that control the news media do not see a need to tell the people that I was given a criminal trespass warning not to be on any property of Lowndes County school system under a restriction issued by Mr. Wes Taylor, the superintendent of Lowndes County High School. This is what I heard over the radio. All court systems verified that I had nothing against me in their computers. CID and the Sheriff Brian also indicated that there was nothing against me. The sheriff told me that he would get back with me, and I still have not been told why I am under a criminal trespass warning without being notified in writing or any other reliable source other than to be told on May 25th that I had been under such a criminal trespass warning for 2 weeks. To date, it is nearly 90 days that my rights have been denied here in the state of Georgia, and yet no news media find it interesting enough to let the general public know. And this is why I created the Ghetto Free Press, to report what for too long citizens here in Valdosta have been denied. We must understand that we give home to Moody Air Force Base, a federal installation where our sons and daughters come to serve their nation. We are also the home of Valdosta State University, where students come from around the world. Georgia Military College, Wiregrass Technical College, Kinderloo Golf Course, Francis Lake Golf Course, Wild Adventures Theme Park, and many other historic, monumental facilities and buildings that Americans frequent and others around the world. Yet, they could be stopped by a member of law enforcement if this is the precedent in the state of Georgia. I knew nothing about this criminal trespass warning. Therefore, I could have been arrested, taken to the Lowndes County Jail. Now, to you who watch this, I want you to understand, I have absolutely nothing. Let me repeat. I, George Boston Rhymes, have nothing against Sheriff Prime. I have nothing against Lowndes County School Superintendent Wes Taylor. I have nothing against any other elected official in the state of Georgia. I have nothing against the news media outlets. All I have is a record of being an honorably discharged military veteran that served the United States of America in time of war and in time of peace. And so, although the legal systems may be backing up from me after I served honorably in the armed forces, but it seems to me that if our active duty, disabled, ordinary veterans, and retired military veterans can serve their nation, then at least the Georgia Attorney General, Sam Owens, the governor of the state of Georgia, and other elected officials should address a veteran on behalf of the active duty military people stationed at Fort Benning, Fort Stewart, Moody Air Force Base, and other military installations around the state of Georgia. For if this could happen to me, it could happen to any of our retired military veterans and active duty personnel. I had violated no law. I had not been informed, but yet I am restricted. And until this date, the sheriff, district court judge, superior court judge, federal court judge, chairman of the Lowndes County Board of Commissioners, and commissioners as well, Mayor Gale, or anybody, have told me why I am under a criminal trespass warning here in the state of Georgia when I have violated no crime, and if I have violated the law, I know nothing about it, which is even more sickening, and got to be this embarrassing for our airmen stationed at Moody Air Force Base. For when they are traveling from Moody to downtown Valdosta, they too could be caught up in a likewise predicament. And so I want to say to you, don't think that these videos is to make the sheriff or anybody else look bad. What I want to happen in Georgia is for truth to come forth, and that if there is a law and a procedure in the state of Georgia for issuing upon the Georgia citizens a criminal trespass warning, that the people know what that law is, because I do not know. And based upon what happened to me, I only imagine how many young black men, black women, and poor white people and other people have been arrested, taken to the Lowndes County Jail to be put on probation or plea bargain on something that they knew nothing about. This is most serious. But do you not know that after nearly 90 days in the state of Georgia, not one elected official have said anything? Now, is that strange? Or is that the way they have always done it here in the state of Georgia? And to our retired, disabled military veterans who served their nation and served it honorably, yet when we embraced this precious flag with our blood, sweat, and tears, they made us feel as if though we were somebody while we carried the M16 on foreign battlefields. But when we come home to the state of Georgia, we can be picked up for criminal trespass, warning, or stopped and banned for nearly 90 days without even an explanation. Why? Why? We have been banned. This is not in Russia. This is not in Germany. This is not in Iraq, and it's not in some other third world country. This is in the United States of America. And you have a right to know, even if the news media ignore me, you still have a right to know. No news media in South Georgia have told or reported my story. Yet, it is what it is. In my hands I hold the Ark of the Covenant of this dispensation. And I only want to give you the truth because you have a right to know. There is no need for lies. There is no need to cast shadows or to criticize anybody. But there is a time wherein the truth must be told so the lies can be exposed. I have said and I have made accusations that the South Georgia news media does not report the cutting-edge news that happens in our community. Well, on May 25th, I was told by a Lowndes County Sheriff Deputy that I was restricted from all properties of the Lowndes County High School, and that if I go on such properties, I would be arrested. But you don't know nothing about that because it wasn't reported in the South Georgia news media. There was other people that were restricted from this public property here in Valdosta and Lowndes County. But you don't know nothing about that. On July the 17th, 2012, at the Brooks County Board of Elections office, there was a meeting held wherein James Maxwell talked about people being left off of the road in his district. In fact, it was not James Maxwell, but people who knew about the problems that James Maxwell was having. It was brought before the Board of Elections, along with one lady who filled out the paperwork to become a poll watcher, but never received a response back from the election supervisor. There were many other complaints that took place at that meeting, and I'm holding the Ark of the Covenant to let you know everything that I'm saying can be backed up with bona fide facts. This is a factual agreement under our form of government. At this meeting, we had been in that meeting for approximately 35 minutes. Dr. Nancy Dennett, one of the original Quitman 10+2 that were arrested, and now have been facing charges for over 3 years, and they still haven't gone to court. She asked the supervisor of elections, when are you all going to call this meeting to order? For they had not done that. She asked, when are you all going to read and approve the minutes for the last meeting? Because they didn't do that. She asked, who are recording the minutes? from this public meeting in the state of Georgia because no one was keeping record of it. Nancy Dennett further asked, as a true professional, where and when was this meeting advertised to the general public? And it was not done. I received a call, and living in Lowndes County, I rushed over to the meeting so I could make a documented record. Because, as I have been saying, the state of Georgia and the Georgia Attorney General don't seem to care, apparently, about open meetings. So I recorded it, and I have it recorded on YouTube. Everything that I'm saying is just like the Ark of the Covenant of this dispensation. It's backed up by facts. And if anybody can disapprove anything that I'm saying, please step forward and let's get around the throne and the Ark of the Covenant so the people will know the truth. I haven't finished yet. During this meeting, Ken Collins made the statement that he was going to step down because of some notarized documents that somebody had altered after they had been stamped. Don't take my word for it. It's all have been documented and placed on YouTube because I'm 100% sure that sooner or later we're going to get somebody in the Justice Department other than Eric Holder and others who already know what's going on in South Georgia, but to my knowledge haven't acted upon the real Ark of the Covenant and laws of this nation. Now, I was recording that public meeting. You will see the director ask me, what are you doing? What are you doing? You have no right to record this meeting without giving us prior notice. Well, I'm not going to even address that, but let me move on to step 2. No. At that meeting, J.C. Cunningham made a very strong presentation, and he was running for elected office. He's on the video too. And they filed a complaint. Listen please. Listen please. They filed a bona fide complaint with Brian P. Kemp, the Secretary of State for the state of Georgia. They had pertinent questions to ask. Several complaints were filed. And eventually, Brian P. Kemp sent his representative and investigator from Macon, Georgia, by the name of Glenn Austin. He came and met at Pastor Avery Church, and they gave testimonies. They gave statements, and candidate J.C. Cunningham asked that I provide investigator Glenn Austin with a copy of the DVD of the meeting that I just told you about. And I happened to have one, and I passed it on to investigator Glenn Austin out of Macon, Georgia, under the leadership of Secretary of State Brian P. Kemp. Now, the Secretary of State, if I'm not wrong, I think I'm correct, I got the paper at the house, wherein he did a write-up in the Quitman Free Press, and I'm going to quote him the best I can without the paper before me. He said that if it's not recorded in a local newspaper, then it didn't happen. Well, he went further to say, out of the 59 counties in the state of Georgia, other words, out of all the counties in the state of Georgia, he had been to all of them except about 3. Now look. Now look. That statement that he made and published in the Quitman Free Press was wrong. It was wrong. I'm not calling him a lie. I'm saying it's wrong. Because that meeting that I told you about on July the 17th was not published in detail in any newspaper. When Glenn Austin came down and did an investigation, I got it all on tape. He made a promise to the citizens that he would get back with us and that he would call us when action was taken in Atlanta on those complaints. To this day, I'm still having people from Brooks County that call me and ask me, have Glenn Austin or the Secretary of State said anything about these voting irregularities in Brooks County? And I'm saying it on record while holding the new Ark of the Covenant of this dispensation, that it was like I said before, in South Georgia. They tell us, when we come up with truth, they tell us that there is no forest, yet we sat at the meeting in the forest. But they tell us that the forest didn't exist, and we have recordings, documented proof that the forest does exist, and that we sat in the meeting in the forest. But yet they gonna tell us that the meeting never took place. And they have done it for so long here in South Georgia until they do it and they ignore the black community and the white right community. And so the people go to the polls and vote the same people back in the office because they do it minus information. But somebody under our form of government, sooner or later, must tell the truth. I haven't finished yet. I'm still not through. Wait a minute. Yes, it seems as if though something is wrong. But can you imagine the Secretary of the State of Georgia and District Attorney David Miller, Assistant District Attorney Brad Shealy, and others could have the Quitman members arrested for alleged voter fraud, and the basics used was that there was a spike in absentee ballot submissions. Well, they didn't want a plea bargain. They want to go to court. But after 3 years, they are still pending. Yet, if the Secretary of State, Brian P. Kemp, if he's concerned about voting and voting rights, why have he not gave a report to the voters in Quitman-Brooks County concerning irregularities that were identified in power? Why has he ignored us? These are valid questions that needs to be answered under our form of government. Now, do you not know that from day one, the Quitman 10 plus 2 have stated their innocence? You've seen a couple of news stories locally about them. You've heard me on YouTube talk about the citizens in Quitman-Brooks County being allegedly intimidated by the Georgia Bureau of Investigation, the G.B.R. 80-some-year-old woman in a small town was so intimidated that she wouldn't even go back to the polls to vote. This has been documented. Tyrone Brooks of G.B.R. came to Brooks County several times, along with Senator Robert Brown, Joseph Lowry, Helen Butler, David Lucas, and many other outstanding right people and white right people as well. But you don't know nothing about that. I walked the streets with Tyrone Brooks. We listened to people give their testimonies about how they were intimidated, how people, well, I'll leave that long. I don't want to get a, let's take this case to court. Now I'm going to close on the Quitman-10+2 and Brooks County by saying this. Personally, I do not believe, I said it from day one, I do not believe that the Quitman-10+2 can receive a fair trial in the Southern Judiciary or even in the state of Georgia. In order for them to get a fair trial and a jury set from among their peers, so it won't be like George Zimmerman, no, not guilty verdict by a no black jury, by a no black jury. Or in too many cases, they have put some blacks on the jury by any means necessary that we in the black community call Uncle Tom's and Aunt James. We don't need that. We are on guard to fight that because it is time now to identify the real Ark of the Covenant and say to America, if the black man is qualified to go fight in every war of this nation and bleed, suffer, and die, then we also should have an equal share of jurors on juries across this nation. And now to the leaders outside of the state of Georgia. I'm saying, in my life of 61 years, I have never in my life seen an all-black jury nowhere. In fact, I can't remember seeing a majority black jury. So I'm going to say, out of great passion, love, and humility, that after 497 years of the black man's sojourn into North America, after 497 years, if we still cannot get blacks in equal proportions on a jury in the United States of America, then no black man, woman, or child, or white right person for that matter, should serve in the United States Armed Forces until our rights are guaranteed here in the state of Georgia as all other American citizens. And if America does not reflect a nation of law and freedom, justice, and democracy, then she needs to take her flag down after 497 years. Take your flag down, man. Take it down. And won't nobody hold you on these high grounds of hypocrisy. Moreover, if I was picked up for a criminal trespass, wanted, and restricted, that means our men and women not serving at Moody Air Force Base can be pulled over, not knowing, and a sheriff deputy can tell them that you are under such a document or authority, and you can't even enter, say, McDonald's or Burger King or VSU, and you haven't done nothing wrong, and you don't know nothing about the so-called criminal trespass. But even more sickening than that, and what I can't understand is how Georgia Attorney General can't respond to that and to see what's wrong with that. That means that we probably have innocent people that are in jail and prison based on something that does not exist, nor does it make sense in the state of Georgia. Can you imagine if I was a little younger and knowing that I hadn't violated any law, and Sheriff Deputy Thomas tell me, if I was a young man and didn't know any better, who are you to tell me that I can't go on the Lowndes County school property? Hell, my ancestors fought for this country before they could use a bathroom. Who in the hell do you think you are? This is what young people would have said, some of them. But I didn't take that approach. I did not do that because I am a carrier and believer in the Ark of the Covenant of the God of the universe. And yet, when I went to the Valdosta Daily Times, they wouldn't even report this to the general public. So the people at Moody Air Force Base, Wild Adventures theme park to come here to visit, will know that if they are riding after they leave Wild Adventures, get ready to go back home, they could be pulled over and charged with a criminal trespass. If they go to Kendaloo Golf Course, they could, but the newspaper didn't take it. The television station didn't tell those who come here as tourists, but it can happen to you. And not only that, but no elected official in the state of Georgia have even addressed the issue. They don't want you to know the truth. They want to keep you deaf, dumb, and blind to the times, and unable to make intelligent decisions based on facts. Now, this is not the first time that they've come after me. I have documented 5 different occasions that I'm not going to tell you about yet, wherein they tried to smear my name. Oh, it's a goozy. Oh, it's a really juicy thing. I'm going to save that for a little later. I'm going to tell you about the things that they tried to get me on before. See, this is not the first time. You see, when Jesus left it on record, don't leave me, y'all. This is the Ghetto Free Press. We keep pressing the truth because we know something. We know what will be revealed when the autopsy come back with the findings of Kendrick Johnson that died on January the 10th, 2013 at Lowndes County High School. And now people are asking, Rhines, did they put that on you because you report the truth? Well, we're going to put a pin in that as well. But I want you to know something. I have been saying it, and I want you all to go to kvci.blogspot.com. Better yet, just Google Valdosta News Whiteout Machine. Valdosta News Whiteout Machine. This just didn't start. This started way back, even before 1989. And from that 89 ruling, a civil action by lead plaintiff Dorothea Patterson, Judge Hugh Lawson found 105 violations in the Lowndes County Jail and ruled in June of '97. It gave the county 2 years to come into compliance in the sheriff department. But yet when I wrote that honorable judge, the district attorney David Miller, Sarah Crow, they provided no answers in terms of who followed up on that court order. And Reverend Rhodes, the president of the SCLC, also wrote the Honorable Judge Hugh Lawson. Judge Hugh Lawson, Judge Hugh Lawson, Judge Hugh Lawson in the state of Georgia. He didn't even respond to Rhodes, and he didn't respond to me, and he didn't respond to others. I said it before, and I'll say it again. There is something strange happening in the state of Georgia. And I can't understand why our sons and daughters are going to fight wars in foreign nations when the real fight is here on the street in the state of Georgia. Y'all had better wake up. As a community, state, nation, and world, we are not who we claim to be around the world on paper. Let me repeat, we are not who we claim to be on paper around the world, but who we prove ourselves to be over a given period of time. Now I want y'all to write Georgia Secretary of State Brian P. Kemp and ask him if he's so concerned about voting rights in the state of Georgia and that Georgians are not denied their rights under the Civil Rights Act. Ask him, why did he not get back with the people in Brooks County? Why did the Quitman Free Press and the South Georgia news media did not inform all the people in South Georgia about those alleged voting irregularities that took place at a public meeting in July 17, 2012, without anything coming from the investigator himself, Glenn Austin. Now wait a minute, Lord have mercy. Another community called me about Glenn Austin, did another investigation up the road here, and he never got back with them either. But once again, I haven't given you nothing but truth. And if anybody can refute, disapprove what I say, please come forward. I would hate to be lying and nobody call me on what I can back up. Even before the President of the United States, before the Republican Party, before the Democratic Party, before the Independent Party, before the Green Party, everything that you've heard, if I cannot back it up with bold facts, then I am a liar. Then you can arrest me based on lies, but that you cannot do because others have the same records that I have. This is the American Free Press, ghetto type, the Ghetto Free Press, here in Valdosta, Lowndes County, Georgia. Bye-bye, we go. This is a meeting that took place in Brooks County, Georgia. Georgia Secretary of State Brian P. Kemp, investigator Glenn Austin sat in at the meeting. This is my introduction, and now I want you to have the rest of the story. Today is August 9th, 2012. I'm in front of the Brooks County office building, and we understand that representatives from the Secretary of State's office, investigators section will be here in Quitman this morning at 12 o'clock. This is KVCI, Blogspot, Boston, G.B.R. George, Boston, Ryan. We're getting ready to go to that meeting, but I thought I would come here to film to give you an introduction into what's going on. On July the 17th, 2012, I recorded some video footage of the Brooks County Board of Elections meeting, and there was concerns at this meeting concerning questions being asked to voters, the procedures in which the meetings were conducted, the minutes and how they are recorded here in Brooks County, along with some problem with candidates qualifying for office, as well as Commissioner James Maxwell's problems concerning whether he was eligible or qualified to run for office. So there have been concerns. In addition to that, I've also had a couple of people to talk about, they put in applications to be a poll watcher among other things. I have been emailing Brian Kemp office about the problems in Brooks County and the Quitman 10 in terms of a speedy trial, and he emailed me this week. However, what we want you to know today is that we are here in Brooks County because we want you informed. If the newspapers, television stations, and radio does not report what is about to happen at this meeting, we're asking you to just simply watch Boston G.B.R. channel because we want you informed. We realize and we understand that here in the United States of America, we respect and we are known around the world as being a nation of laws with freedom of speech, freedom of the press, etc., etc. And so as we get ready to go to Culpeper Street, a local church in the community, where we understand an investigator will be coming to speak with the concerns of the voters and citizens here in Quitman and Brooks County, Georgia. As a retired military veteran, I respect the rights of citizens, and I served my nation for over 20 years to try and build a better electorate as well as representatives of our various communities. This is just one step in the process here in Brooks County. So once again, this is kvci.blogspot.com, YouTube Boston GBR. Let us go and see what is taking place at a public meeting here in Quitman in Brooks County, Georgia. Once again, it is August the 9th, 2012, in the heartbeat of your community, doing what we do because it's the right thing to do. Thank you. Stay tuned for the rest of the story.
Can I get your name, sir?
Yes. My name is Jay, C, the initials. Cunningham, C-U-N-N-I-N-G-H-A-M.
Okay, sir.
One of the reasons that myself and Dr. Jenner thought that we need to get in touch with the Secretary of State's office is the fact that there are several things that that the Board of Elections has taken upon themselves to have arbitrary rules that have anything to do with any policies that were set forth by the Board of Elections. And I start with one, making the statements that that people had to be certified in a training in order to register folks to vote. Even to the point of saying at one time, if you did not have a certificate, you could not register people to vote.
What was that second one about her certificate?
You had to have a certificate from the Board of Elections in order to register folks to vote. I brought that to Mr. Collins' attention, saying that, Mr. Collins, you cannot, first of all, when you give that certificate out, what you're in fact saying is that Board of Elections is saying that you have to go through a formal training and have that receipt, thus denying or suppressing individuals and organizations the right to register people to vote, as you see in that exhibit right there.
All right, so you're saying
he went outside his boundaries in doing that. And I say by going outside those boundaries, there were people who were not registered, who could have been registered, and there were people who wanted to register folks that did not register people because they thought they couldn't because they didn't have that certificate, which in the way I look at it, is a violation of our civil rights to be able to give a person the right to vote. And Mr. Collins went outside of his bounds when he instructed individuals in Brooks County that they must have a driver's license in order to get a sample ballot. Again, I asked Mr. Collins why he would say that to individuals, and his statement was that he wanted to ensure they got the right ballot. And I said, Mr. Collins, you can get the right ballot by just simply asking where do they live and what is their birthday. But if a person doesn't have a driver, there's nothing again in anything I've read that said a person must have a driver's license or a picture ID to get a sample ballot. A sample ballot. Again, what I want to make plain and clear is that that's another form of intimidation, whether it was meant to intimidate or not. It was a form of intimidation. What I would like to see in this investigation, it's never been my cause to have anyone terminated or anyone going to jail. My thing is that everyone has a right to vote. Everyone who is eligible has a right to register to vote. And when you do anything to impede that, that is paramount to voter suppression, and we can't allow that, and that should not be allowed. And that's where I would like to see this investigation go. See, I think when the investigation is truly looked at, beyond candidates' names being off the ballot, beyond wrong ballots going out to folks in the community, that we have a person that's running a very, very important job and has a very important position, but he is not trained to do that position. And that cannot be allowed, because when we allow someone who's not trained to be in a position like that, and just the two comments that I brought up, then what happens is people get mixed and lost in the system, and that's not right. Everything starts with the Board of Elections as far as our rights as citizens to affect the laws of this land. So if it gets stopped there, if one person is missed there, then the whole system is wrong. So somewhere along the line, I believe the Secretary of State's office needs to come in and relieve, be it temporarily or whatever, Mr. Collins or the Brooks County Board of Elections of their duties and responsibilities until someone who is trained properly and is signed off, so that citizens of Brooks County can be confident that each one of their votes are going to be counted, and that everyone who wants to register or who has the ability to register will have that ability. Okay. But there's nothing again in anything I've read that said a person must have a driver's license or a picture ID to get a sample ballot. Okay. A sample ballot. Again, what I want to make plain and clear is that that's another form of intimidation, whether it was meant to intimidate or not. It was a form of intimidation. What I would like to see in this investigation, it's never been my cause to have anyone terminated or anyone going to jail. My thing is that everyone has a right to vote, and everyone who is eligible has a right to register to vote. And when you do anything to impede that is paramount to voter suppression, and we can't allow that. And that should not be allowed. And that's where I would like to see this investigation go. See, I think when the investigation is truly looked at, beyond candidates' names being off the ballot, beyond wrong ballots going out to folks in the community, that we have a person that's running a very, very important job and has a very important position, but he is not trained to do that position. And that cannot be allowed, because when we allow someone who's not trained to be in a position like that, And just the two comments that points I brought up, then what happens is people get mixed and lost in the system, and that's not right. Everything starts with the Board of Elections as far as our rights as citizens to affect the laws of this land. So if it gets stopped there, if one person is missed there, then the whole system is wrong. So somewhere along the line, I believe the Secretary of State's office needs to come in and relieve, be it temporarily or whatever, Mr. Collins or the Brooks County Board of Elections of their duties and responsibilities into someone who is trained properly and is signed off so that the citizens of Brooks County can be confident that each one of their votes are going to be counted, and that everyone who wants to register or who has the ability to register will have that ability.
You're going to also do me a statement?
Yes, sir.
Okay, sir.
I've already done one statement on the website.
How long ago was that?
The day before the last Board of Elections meeting.
So you actually did it on our website and
Yes, sir.
submitted it to Atlanta?
Yes.
Okay. Would you mind doing another one?
Sure.
Okay.
Was it the 16th of June? July? Is that when it was?
Can I make another statement?
Yes, sir.
It's not on that one, but I don't think that we should get a... On the night of the election, on the night of the election, the election supervisor was very unprofessional because I know I've been around for a long time. That's right. This is my 5th term, and I've never seen an election supervisor that will go out to the general audience, you understand, and declare, you understand, that we are going to have a runoff before the votes are in. And that's exactly what Mr. Kenny Collins was doing. He was saying, well, I know, you understand, that we are going to have one runoff, and people get stunned, saying, well, how can he say that, you understand, when the votes are still coming in? Well, that's what happened. And when the votes, you understand, and the district he was talking about was District 5. That's right. That was the district that we were having all the problems in. What happened? So he assured, you understand, that everyone that was at the strike, the election area that night, he was assuring them that in District 5 we will have a runoff. But when all the votes was counted, there was no runoff. What happened? And to me, you understand, he was very disappointed. But he's supposed to be bipartisan. He's supposed to keep his mouth closed. That's something he don't supposed to be walking around, out there, among the public and telling, you understand, the people who is running that we're going to have a runoff. That's right. And that's something that he, shall not do. He cannot do. See that, but he did.
Okay.
And we're going to follow up on that too, brothers.
Can I just make one comment? Something that I'm really confused about. How can a 501c3 corporation file a complaint? I thought it was, to my knowledge, that an elector had to file a complaint. And I do not understand, especially a 501c3 nonprofit organization being allowed to file a complaint.
I can't answer any.
I know.
But you address.
And another question. I'm confused about this.
Yes, ma'am.
I mentioned to you earlier that the rules change it overnight for some reasons, but the little legal knowledge that I know, notarized statements. The purpose is to validate a notarized statement. And once that notarized statement is notarized, there cannot be any changes on notarized statement. But my question is, how can you change a notarized statement and it be legal?
Mr. Archie, were you the actual investigator that came down 2 weeks ago and met with the people here in Brooks County?
I was here a couple weeks back, sure was.
Were you provided the film from that Board of Elections meeting?
You're addressing something that's, of course, on the internet, I guess?
Yes, sir.
I can't answer any questions about my investigation. So.
Okay, but my question, were you provided that film? We had made a CD for your office. Did you get that CD?
I have not been given a CD.
Mr. Rhines, we still have that CD?
I've sent it to the Secretary of State's office.
Oh, you have,
I sent it on the web. I sent it to them. And if not, I will give all that information to you.
How do you spell your last name, sir?
Rhines, George Boston. Rhines, R-H-Y-N-E-S.
Yes, sir.
Boston G.B.R. is a YouTube for that, but I'll make sure that you get that.
Mr. Glenn, I would like to add at this moment also, we have a lot of voters that are totally confused, and if you have time to get all the documents, I will get those to you.
Yes, ma'am.
But the confusion is about the whole election process. For example, in previous years, those people who need assistance in reading, my understanding is this time we didn't have that. This is the first time since 1965 that people were not allowed to assist those who are not as technical savvy or informed to assist others. And, like I told you, I didn't have time to get all the statements in, but I will get those statements to you.
If you could furnish those to me, I'll follow up on that too. I will follow up on that if you give me those statements.
This is why this investigation and a response back to the citizens of Brooks County was so important. Yet, I received phone calls in terms of why the Georgia Secretary of State never got back with the people in the community.